anyway, and I'll do a wee. Welcome to the Kevin Pickle Show, guys. Interview time. And if you can't guess already who the gentleman is that we have on, I'd like to do a little bit of an introduction, okay? This is a man who's made over 420 appearances, including 188 Premier League games for his beloved Newcastle United. Has also played in the Championship, which obviously is what Kev's team has been for the last 20 years, Nottingham Forest. Not anymore. Has played in League One, the MLS, the A-League, and the Indian Super League. That's pretty decent. But now he is, of course, the manager of Gulf United FC, which is an academy-based team in the United Arab Emirates, where he just won promotion. Guys, it is Stephen Taylor. Thank you so much, Stephen, for coming on to the show, mate.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
No problem. I'm going to take a breath. Kev, you chat.
Stephen, it's very simple. You're a Premier League player for 13 years. How does being a Premier League player compare to, say, League One? What do you need to be? What do you need to be a Premier League player?
I think it all starts from when you leave school at 16 years old. For me, I had a chip on my shoulder. I wanted to be in the first team. You know, I used to go to the game with my dad, and that's when you fall in love with football. You know, being a fan of Newcastle United, you watch all the games, and we used to go to all the games. I remember the League Cup games where a lot of the Newcastle young lads would get the opportunity. Then you would never hear about them again. They would just drop by the wayside. They would move on to whether it was going down the leagues or whatever path they kind of took. But I didn't want to be a League Cup player that just got his chance, played in front of the fans, and was happy with that. You know, I wanted to make sure when I do play, I'm there to stay, and I want to be there long term. And I had about 7 centre halves ahead of me at the time. And for me, it was making a statement and being around the experienced players like Gary Speed, Alan Shearer, Jonathan Woodgate, and Shea Given. Them kind of players to kind of guide me. I'm a big believer in that today, as well as having your experience to guide your young players through a path to where you need to be. And you know, you got to learn your chores. I think there's times where you're brought up and you've got the nerves and you don't speak unless you're spoken to around the experienced players, and you have to kind of take that on. And as the years have gone on, and in society now, and you go into clubs and you see young players chirping up to the experienced players, which is crazy. But I think it's important for a lot of clubs where they've got the discipline, and the experienced players have got to take control of the dressing room. But certainly we had that in Newcastle, and I think it stood me in good stead for the future.
Well, I was just going to say, like, obviously it was back in 2004 when you made the debut in Europe and that, and you had the record for the youngest, obviously debuting until Andy Carroll. Nobody important, you know what I mean? Like till Andy Carroll obviously broke it, but it was that week then that obviously the Premier League debut was done against Bolton, like 3 or 4 days later. Just like not even a full week, but as a week for you at that age. Like, what was going through your head just at that week? You know what I mean? The debut in Europe, and then boom, straight into a Premier League game. Like,
so this is it. This is why I want to be a professional footballer. Yeah. You can't shy away from these things. When you get that chance, you got to take it. And for me, at the time, I knew there was players coming back from injuries, so I wanted to go there, especially going away to Real Mallorca, playing against Samuel Eto'o. Come off a great win there. Then next week was Bolton, so I go away, play Bolton. Lose 1-0, and the ball comes from my side. Didn't get another chance for about a year, but that's when you have to be thick-skinned. Yeah. And I think that helped me massively. I think, you know, when I went into training after that, it was just having the likes of these Speedos, the Shearers around, and they just keep you going and they keep you hungry. And I think you learn your development, you know, getting knocked around and battered by them kind of guys day in, day out in training.
Tough and job.
Which is a good thing. You have to, because I remember going on loan to Wycombe Wanderers. As a young kid, I still believe now that kids should be going on loan, and you got to learn your trade, and you got to toughen up from being a boy to a man. There's all this you can play in the 23s, but you're not gonna graft and be ready for that first team football. Whether it's going to be Premier League, whether it's going to be, you know, the Championship, League One, they have to be given, you know, an education of what it's like to be a man. And I think when you go there, I remember the first game, going off for headers, getting a full force of some elbows in the face, and that was like welcome to football. And that's what I like. You've got to toughen up. And the sink or swim. And, you know, fortunately for me, I loved it and relished every little opportunity, every challenge. And it was excitement.
Yeah. What did your family think of that? Especially that first game in, say, St James's Park. What was your family? That whole, like, I know you're born in London, but you're from the northeast. Like, what was your whole family thinking of that day in St James's Park?
No, they couldn't believe it. Literally, remember playing Everton. So I made my home debut, 18 years old, against Everton at St James's Park. Wasn't expected to be even on the bench, and there was a few injuries on the day. and the parents didn't even have the tickets. They give the tickets away, and I think an hour before the game, they're seeing on Sky Sports I was going to be playing, so they've literally gone down, had to buy a ticket and come and watch us. But for me to get that chance on Graham Soonest, he just said, "Listen, within 10 minutes, if you don't go and kick Kilban, you'll be coming off." So for me to have that kind of thing where I was like, "Wow, this is my chance now," in front of my family, my friends, it was a huge thing for myself, and that's where it all started, really.
And what's Soonest like? Because in Ireland, he's a bit of a love-hate relationship with Ireland. You know what I mean? When he was at Liverpool, he kind of got rid of the Irish players, but like when he was then with Newcastle, and then you know what I mean? What's he like as a person? You know?
He was a tough character. I think he would always test the boundaries, see where you were at. I remember training the reserves. He said, "Listen, you look like a player. You can do it at this level, but can you step up and do it in the first team?" So when I did come up and it went well in the first game against Kilban, it wasn't like a satisfaction. I think he wanted to keep us grounded, which was a good thing.
Yeah.
He was like, can you do it next week? Can you keep doing it? And it was always one of them things with Soonest. He was hard as nails with us, but he kind of was brought in to get rid of the players, I think, who didn't want to be there. And he was used by, I think, the owner at the time to do that. But he was good for me. I can't say a bad word about Graham Souness for myself. He was very tough with me, and yeah, I've got a lot of time for him.
Happy days. I know, obviously, Kev has a very quick fire little round for you, right? But look, I don't know if we can see it. I'm a Villa fan, right? Okay, had to wear a jersey. Stephen,
yeah,
you know
what's coming.
Yeah, you know what's coming, right? Okay, now that game might be remembered for a little bit of a fisticuffs with Dyer and Boyer. Okay, it might be remembered for that. But you nearly died. Somebody at the top of the stadium was having the sniper
JFK.
You know what I mean? It's one of them. It's a Premier golden moment, a Premier League golden moment. Like, it really is. But it's funny and we can laugh and all that kind of stuff now. But you didn't know the referee was that close, right?
True, no. I thought he was further down the pitch, because at the time when Nicky Butt lost the ball, I'm sure everybody was in the opposite half, and I was thinking Vassell's gone through pretty quick. And when he got past Shea, I just thought it was just me and Vassell. Didn't realise how close the referee was until afterwards. And then when I got up, how quick he was to get his red card out. And I thought, come on, give us a bit of sympathy here.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't like it was. I think nearly you should have got applauded for it. You know what I mean? Because it was so good. Plus, I'm a Villa fan. I'm surprised he was on target with Vassell hitting it. So I was, to be honest. Hey, Kev, do your little fun that you want to do, Stephen.
Let's have a wee quick fire round, Stephen.
Absolutely.
Apart from St. James Pub, your favourite ground?
I think the Emirates for me was when it was just first. I think just that first season, it was unbelievable. The pitch, I think, just the whole surrounding was incredible.
Best mate in the dressing room?
Tim Crull.
Nice.
Tim Crull.
Nice.
Yeah, since a young age, I think, since we've come through and all that, and always still good mates today.
Serious keeper. Keeper.
Worst dress sense?
Probably Tim Crull again.
Yeah. We're going to have to get him on now, right, to defend himself. So,
The funniest player in the dressing room?
The funniest player, I probably would have said Shearer. Back in the day.
No way.
He was always people always say he's quite boring, but in the dressing room, he's up to pranks. He's up to always something. I think him and Speedo always had something up the lock. Every day he had to be on guard.
And then longest in the shower?
I think that was Peter Lovenkranz.
Peter Lovenkranz. What a man.
You wouldn't think so when you look at him, but I tell you what, it was, the kid's gifted.
Fair play to him, mate. Look, come here. Kev, another one.
Yeah, I was just going to ask about Shearer. I was just watching, there was something on TV this morning about, it was a Euro 96, and it had to get in song titles into each interview. And Shearer came back. Shearer came back is really funny. And you're kind of going, from what he is now, you know what I mean, as said BBC on Match of the Day, he comes across really serious. He doesn't, and he seems to come across, as we say, quite boring. But just in the dressing room, so there must be some great crack in the dressing room, really.
Oh, 100%. That's what you probably miss after finishing football, is the dressing room banter. And when you've got someone like Shearer in the dressing room, trust me, it's all laughs every day. It's enjoyable because you want to be around them kind of them people, and it's just, as a young kid coming through, to see that when you never would think that is it's different class. And I was very lucky. The era that I did come through was the experience that was in the dressing room, the big names that were there, and you think, bloody hell. Used to look at these at a match day and think, wow. So for me to be around that and surrounded with it, like I said before, it helps you. And I think it develops you as a character as well.
And just last one for me, then, if you're working with managers and being with that, what if you could pick a manager to work with that you hadn't worked with in the past, who would that be? Who would it be?
I think the Sir Alex Ferguson. I think everyone talks about the guy that he was, the hairdryer treatments, just the way the fear factor that he had with his players. And I think that's one manager you would love to have worked under. For me, 100%, I would love to have done that.
Sweet. And look, I know we mentioned debut Samuel Eto'o and stuff like that. Fixture list come out start of the season, right? And you're thinking, that striker, that's the one that I'm looking forward to playing against. Was there one striker against you that you were just thinking, yeah, I'm going to have a bit of you?
Hasler's all the big names. When you mention your Chelsea's, your Drogba's, for me, that was the one. Your Arsenal's, your Henry's. You want to be tested against the best. And I think you raise your game when you play against better players. And for myself, that was the best thing. To be a professional footballer, there's no point fearing or being scared of anybody. I think that was me as a guy when I was a young kid. I always used that as excitement.
Yeah.
And I think the main things of football, you just look for the derbies and the Sunderland fixtures, and that's why now they're back in the Championship. I do hope they get back into the Premier League, and for the North East football, that's what we want.
Yeah, exactly. Look, it's great for the area. Like I know, obviously, Kev, Derby is to be a long time. You and Derby meet again. You know what I mean? League One and Premier League and that. Well, I don't know. It probably could be next season, maybe. So good. But look, Andy, we do on our show, right? We always do a would you rather question on every episode. Now, normally it's just a filthy question, right? But we're not going to do it like that, right? We're going to give you a footballing question. Very simple. I know in your career you had a hell of a lot of injuries, okay? You would have had double the amount of games you probably played, right? Only for bad injuries at just that most horrible times, okay? Mm-hmm. Would you rather, right, have won a Premier League title with Newcastle or say had like 100 caps for England and won a World Cup with them?
Oh, definitely Premier League title.
Yes.
For Newcastle.
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer.
Yeah, definitely. Like, hey, because that's your club. You know what I mean? Like, I know England's England, it's your country, but that's your club. You know what I mean? That's your boyhood club.
100%.
And in fairness, they couldn't have got much closer than when when somebody would have loved it. You know what I mean? Like if they had a bet, you know what I mean? Instead of would have done like, hey. But look, I know obviously the likes of Drogba and all that kind of stuff that you had, right? Was there ever a manager? I know Sir Alex would have been on the list. Did you ever have a seriously bad falling out with a manager and just say, I can't have you? You know what I mean? I can't. Not even I can't play for you. You never don't play for a club or a team. You just could be like, I don't think me and you is gonna get on.
Of another club, you mean?
Yeah, but like, yeah. Club. That's what I mean. Like, yeah, was there any other one like?
Not really. I think for anyone, you just got to go, and then sometimes on the outside you think, what's he like? But you never think like that. You just go in, and if your face fits, you that's one of the things as well as a football. Your face might not fit, So I think just I don't judge a book by its cover. Just go in and graft, and I think that's one of the two. Well, it's one of the two things: effort and you graft the arse off. That's what's got me where I have today.
And that's what I was about to say. Like you're doing that at the moment, obviously coaching badges and everything else. You know what I mean? That you're doing at the minute. Like, what's the plan here? Like, you know what I mean? Like, is there a long-term dream of, look, I'd love to get back over, get coaching in obviously Premier League, Championship, etc.
I think I want to learn. I want to. For me, first and foremost, the next few years, I definitely want to go around and learning from top managers. I think going in at clubs with managers that can help me and definitely develop you. A lot to learn. Just because you've played football and you've been a professional footballer doesn't mean you can go straight into a job. And I think you've got to learn. You've got to go back to basics. And you've got to learn a whole new kind of side of it. And there's so much to learn. I went to Belfast, and what I learned on the course there was probably more I learned than I did the last 10 months in Dubai. And just the little things when you go around clubs now, speaking to managers, coaches, and even the players now in modern day, how much the game has changed in the last 6 years. And for me to get that now, I just want to learn. And I think even going around Europe, speaking to different managers and different leagues is going to be one thing I'll be doing in the next few years. There's a lot I think you got to learn. I don't think you can just dive in. I know a lot of players have done that.
Yeah.
But for me personally, I want to go around and learn a lot from different managers and different systems and different leagues. So I want to continue that education. And like I said, I'll be back over in Belfast next year. Looking forward to learning more. And I think it's important to do all your badges. And what you can do there and learn from these guys is definitely the basics and the details, and I think that's the biggest thing.
And that's something that happened. Sorry, Kev. Isn't that something I read or seen or was? I can't remember which manager it was. It was like Ian Holloway or somebody like that. How club managers just basically say, "Yeah, come on in." You know what I mean? There's this whole welcoming thing where managers say that aren't working, or as you said, managers that are only getting started and want to learn. That there's such an openness for clubs to be like, "Yeah, come on in." Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, we'll have a chat. Come watch the training. Like,
it's been good so far. I can't compete. I think it's been very good. I think you should do that. I think for players, for myself especially. Yes, I'm in Dubai, but I'm still learning. I'm 36 years old, and I want to learn. And going into different Premier League clubs has been great for me so far. I'm going to be going into a few European clubs next week. I want to get more of an insight to that. You know, I've just been on a course there with the Sao Paulo assistant manager and the German analysis for the World Cup. Been around them for the last 2 weeks, and you know, Simon Davis, who worked with Mancini, Pep Guardiola, was with Company last year, and Anderlecht. People like that who give you an insight to different things you never even think of, and it's been a good thing for myself, and I just want to continue learning.
Yeah, brilliant.
And Stephen, we're recording the July. I mean, today, like pre-season is on at the moment. What? Like we've seen with Son and Harry Kane almost collapsing in pre-season this week. But what's pre-season really like? How difficult is it? Like because I mean, you don't really stop training really. Like so, how can pre-season be really that difficult? And I'm not saying
too many points. Too many points.
Yeah, listen. From back in the day, I'll be honest with you. From about 2000, 2002, 2004, you get about good 6 weeks off holiday, and a lot of players use the 6 weeks as a holiday. So when you come back, they said, listen, pre-season will get us fit. But as football goes on and time goes on, holidays now is less than probably 2 weeks, 10 days, 2 weeks to switch off. You got your training program, all the sports science behind the scenes, and your diet. You got to come back ready to hit the ground running. And especially going back to Newcastle, the guys there have come back fit, in great shape. And Eddie Howe is basically from day one, he's just got them out on the balls, and the intensity that he trains the guys is unbelievable. And I think now with modern day footballers, I don't think there's much thing as a break anymore. You just got to get straight into it. And even on your so-called off season, you've got your plan and you've got to stick to it. Get a bit of sun in your back. We got to keep fit. But back in the day, it was horrific. Pre-season was a nightmare. You get blisters all the time, and the long running, the forest runs, the beach runs, they were a nightmare. But as time has gone on, there's more ball work, and the sky's running with that. But I remember when Bobby Robson was there, the runs that we used to do, absolute killer. You've seen like Son and Kane.
Yeah.
That was like every day, you know, until I think people were just falling on the floor. But it was always the dreaded pre-season runs, mate. You didn't want that.
Yeah. Okay. You mentioned Eddie Howe there. I know obviously he came in there last January, so we did. I know everybody talks about the amount of money and you can buy anybody you want and all that, but he really went and bought proven like Premier League. I know we talked Matt Taugen on loan from Villa. You know what I mean? He got the Brighton centre half who's like Burns, 8 foot tall. Yeah, Burns. You know what I mean? So like, as a fan as well of Newcastle, though, Stephen, like I know you'd love to say, "Oh, we're going to win the league." Like I know it's going to be a steady kind of building process with them now, and that's the right way of doing it. What would be your goals, do you think, or hopes for them this season? Like, do you think they could get up around that kind of 7th, 8th spot, maybe Europa League or even that Conference League thingy?
Me personally, I think like last year, how we finished around there. I think the two things Newcastle fans want, like myself, is the hope is there, and the fans want entertained. And for me, he's coming and he's given both of them things. And I think the fans, the atmospheres are back, and that's what you want. You know, you see the atmospheres on the TV, and when you're actually there, it's electric. So for me, they've got the fans on the side, and I think with definitely the hope is definitely there now.
But I think for a lot of years it was quite rough with Ashley and stuff like that. You know what I mean? But I think as I'm a Forest fan, but you have a chance. You have a bit of a belief that this could be possible, that things can happen. Like I think that's where fans buy back into it, and that makes an awful difference to it, you know?
Yeah, I think when he first came, everybody, listen, you can't knock. Mike Ashley's a businessman. He's made his money there, and he's a billionaire for that reason. So for that kind of side of things, you can't knock him. But I don't think him and his people understood the football aspect side of things, the actual culture that Newcastle is. It's a football city. And everywhere you go, on the streets, in the supermarkets, you've got the grandma, the granddad, even the grandmas giving you a bit of stick, making sure you win in the weekend. But that's what it's about in the Northeast. Everyone talks about it, from Monday to Sunday, everyone. When you go down to London, it may be a weekend thing, but in Newcastle, as a culture, I just don't think he understood what it meant to the football club, and he used it maybe as a business. And everyone was just saying at the time, why doesn't he just go and spend that little bit of money to go and make Newcastle into the next level? And I think we could have done that the year we finished 5th. Instead of investing, we were selling. And that was the biggest mistake, I think, then. But no one, I don't think anyone can explain why he didn't do it. We all thought it was easy option to say, listen, put your checkbook out, go and buy a few players and take the club to the next level. It was a sleeping giant. Now this new ownership have come in now, and they've given the belief, and I think to everybody now, they're definitely answering the questions that a lot of fans have been saying, can you go and do what Mike actually didn't? And so far it's been good. They haven't gone stupid. I think they're more clever.
Which is good.
Is a big thing. Don't buy players who are going to come to the football club for the money, which we've had before, where the players didn't settle. And if I'm being honest with you, the biggest things for me now isn't really about the player, it's their family. You've got to keep the family happy. And it's important to bring in the players here, even just the simple things, the kids, can you sort about the school? Are the kids happy? The wives happy? The girlfriend's happy? It's very important to kind of get that right. And then everything else can take care, because the players we did have in the past, they were just every day off, back to Spain, France, down to London. And you've got to kind of keep them involved in Newcastle. I think the players they've got now is definitely doing that.
Good. Just my last question, Stephen. You're talking about Sunderland. Pickle can talk, Kieran can talk about Birmingham, I talk about Derby. That rivalry in the northeast. I mean, how bad is it? Like when you cross over to the red side, you know?
Oh, listen, Newcastle players, couldn't go and live in Sunderland, but Sunderland players could come and live in Newcastle. But when it comes to match day, their hatred is unbelievable. But that's what you want. That's part and parcel of football. None of this kind of like, we just want to be fair and all this. No, you want that hatred. And I think for Northeast football, you need that. You see how much passionate you've seen the Sunderland documentary and how much it means to them.
Yeah.
I do honestly hope that they do come up from the Championship, because it'd be great to get that rivalry back, and just for Northeast football, get it back on the market again. And I think it's perfect timing.
But there's two massive stadiums there. You know what I mean? Like, it is a massive stadium to be in League One. Like, to have you have 55 plus seater in Newcastle. What is it? 45 plus in Sunderland. 52, you know what I mean? It's a big ground to be
huge. No, that's what you want. But I think for football in the Northeast is massive, and you see the atmospheres that we create there. And even when you play Sunderland, the atmosphere is amazing. I love going there, and I think just experience that hatred, especially for me, 46,000 and singing that fantastic song and sing about it. But I love the hatred, and you just thrive on it. And I would love to see them back up, and I would like to get that feeling again for them, just for the fans. I think for everybody.
3 or 4-0.
Yeah, of course.
It'd be nice, yeah. Of course,
So, well, look, give me a look. We'll finish up in a sec. One last question, Stephen, for you, right? You played football for an awful long time, right? What is the one? It could be anything. Outstanding memory that you have. Like, what's the one thing that you just will always? It could have been a goal, could have been a clearance, could have been that Villa save on the line. What's the one thing for you that's like, I'll never forget that?
Never forget my first goal at St James Park. Gallagher End, Celta Vigo beat them 2-1. I think it was the 86th, 87th minute. I scored the winner. That feeling of your first goal at the Gallagher End as a Newcastle fan was unbelievable. And run like Forrest Gump after that celebration. But no one will ever take that away from me. And I think it's something that I'll never forget as well.
Brilliant. Well, look, we got to thank somebody for obviously setting this up. Okay,
yeah, listen, Liam's done unbelievable for me, and I think with even went on a Belfast course, and we had a few of the under 15s of Northern Ireland Academy come in, and seeing some of the unbelievable talent they've got, but they've got agents at an early age, and I was thinking some of these guys are just, they've probably car salesmen and all sorts. You've got to be very, very careful. And I had a chat with Liam, who's first for players, and we've known each other for a long time now, and for what he's done with creating that kind of background for the players off the pitch, making sure financially they're secure, is something that agents don't normally do. Normally, let's get the contract signed, then you don't hear from them. I've had some big agents back in the days, seen a lot in the dressing room with the players I've had, and you see them on the phone when it comes to the contracts, but you never hear from them until probably the next contract. It's nice to be now around with they're looking after the families, making sure they're sorting out all their financial stuff, because how many times now have you heard players going, broke after the game, and I think it's a huge thing. It's not getting them too much too soon and controlling the money, especially for the young players. And it's nice to see these guys doing that. And I think for Liam as well, tip my hat off to him. So fair play.
Yeah, Liam, Carroll, you're a gent, and obviously me and Kev know Liam as well. Me and him used to be managers against each other way back in the day. So we did like I'm 16 years into being a football manager now. He finally went and did a real job. So so fair play. But no, big thanks to him. But yeah, Stephen, mate, honestly, best of luck with everything in the future. If you want to get Tim Crull to come on and try and defend himself, you just send him a text and we'll happily have him on and he can slag you off a bit. But
trust me, he couldn't defend himself, mate. You'll probably see him in the streets of Belfast. He'll be doing the big issue, mate. Trust me.
Brilliant. Hey, Stephen, thank you so much,
I'll see you later on, guys. Appreciate
Cheers,
that.
buddy. Thank you.
Thank you. See you later.